What up? It's your boy T Burn Reaction. So today is Films Friday, but I do want to make time to try to finish off the final piece of the infamous one Black Raggle versus 20 Black Raggle, 20 Black Conservative with Amanda Seales as well too. So I'm gonna try to do both the final claimation and the bonus claim as well too. And the final claim is on Black conservatism. The Black conservatism failing to address the needs of the working class. So I guess I'll shorten it as the Black conservatism failure. So anyway, without further ado, and the final one will be a return from one of the previous ones as well too. So let's get it.
Not.
That's time.
My final claim is Black conservatism fails to meet the needs
And I gotta
of the
say, this has been definitely an eye opener as well too, and an especially interesting piece to watch as well too. Though the Braves play cool. The last one was on Smatter Racism. Majority of it was respectful as well too, and there was a good amount of 50-50 listening, and then got a little emotional towards the end. The last one between Jazz and Amanda as well too is definitely, but this time was 50-50 in my opinion. So other than that, let's see how she go with this one. Let's get it.
in class. Ant Dog. Okay.
Welcome
talk
back,
to me.
Ant.
So I think Black conservatives, we're the ones who really want the best for working people.
Oh.
I think we're the ones, like a lot of the liberals, a lot of the leftists, they want us to do things like office work. They want us to go reparations, try to get things from the government and get handouts. We say, hey, go out there and work. Go out there and get these jobs that are available. Work with your hands, do skilled trades. That's where a lot of us talk about, skilled trades. So working class, that's really a Black conservative thing, in my humble opinion.
I would beg to disagree. I think that would be true if Black conservatism also created pathways for people to get those jobs and also to be able to challenge the corporations that are using their labor, that are stealing from them and not impeding them from having a union. So for instance, like in the South, right? I just left North Carolina where I met with the USSW, the Union of Southern Service Workers. This is an unofficial union of individuals who work at places like Waffle House, at Food Lion, etc. And their unofficial union is unofficial because the conservatives in that state will not allow for them to be officialized.
Legitimized.
Legitimized.
There you go. I got you.
It will not allow for them to be legitimized because then they would be able to push back legitimately on the corporations to get fair wages, right? So like someone was telling me in this organization that she was in Baltimore getting $15.25 as a minimum wage, and then when she moved just one state away, she was now only getting $7.25 for minimum wage, but the cost of living was the same for her. So when we talk about, you know, the effort of saying go out and get these jobs and get these trades, et cetera, I think that is valid, but I think that the impediments by leveling up corporations and by pouring into the effort of corporations to keep billionaires, as Black conservatives, you are actually cutting off the ability for those people to excel.
Okay, I understand your point, but a lot of us are more about being self-sufficient. So the South, a friend of mine down there, King Randall, has a school for boys. He's 22 years old. He has a bunch of kids living with him. He's teaching them physical skills they can do. Okay,
Yeah.
being a mechanic, working on your car, working on your house, building things with your hands. So you don't got to worry about corporations.
True.
You could be your own man. You could be your own woman.
Nice.
And also, didn't you also say earlier that you're against unions? But are you
No,
for them now?
I never said that.
Oh, so you're for unions?
Absolutely.
So when the unions keep Black folks out, you're for that as well? Because that's traditionally what they've done, keep Black folks out, correct?
Obviously, I am not for that. The reality is that unions have definitely in the beginning kept Black folks out. And the reason why they were keeping Black folks out is because after the Civil War, when there was Reconstruction, you had all these Black people that had been used with free labor and they had skills, right? Whether they were a blacksmith or a carpenter or
Right,
whatever.
that's coming out.
However, they could not get jobs because the white people who now had to fend for themselves, if you will, because they didn't have slaves, they had to go and learn all these trades.
Right.
And so they actively kept Black people out of those jobs. And then what they would do is that when they would, as a union, say, we're going on strike, the Black people would be like, well, we'll work. because they won't let us in their union anyway. And then when they would go and actually get those jobs that the people were on strike for, they
not
wouldn't
sure
pay
why
them.
it froze like
they would
that.
lynch them. So yes, these are real things that have taken place. But we keep having these conversations where we acknowledge the past
I'm not
when it's
sure why they
convenient,
did that.
and then we only stay in the present when it's convenient. So you can't simultaneously say, well, everybody's fine now and there's no systemic racism,
Right.
at the same time as stating that there are unions that are racist and unions that aren't racist. Ultimately, there is racism in the United States. It is deeply embedded. We have seen it in a myriad of examples, even just yesterday or today. And Black conservatives are working against the working class because they are actively placing their vision, their ideology of Black excellence in economics solely.
Well, there is racism
And in individual economics. And I think that's really the big difference of what
Okay.
we're talking about right now. You're
But look-
talking about every man for themselves. Every man for
No,
themselves.
I don't say that.
Oh, you didn't
I
say that?
I say that we have to be individual as people, as Black people, but
Yeah.
still get all of us on the same page. My friends at school, he's not just looking out for himself, he's looking for all these kids as well. So it's like, okay, I bring myself up and then bring everybody else up, rather than relying upon the corporations and white people to lift this up. That's where
Right.
we come
So
from as
I
Black
think there's a
conservatives.
difference between relying on and acknowledging that there are impediments of. And I want to acknowledge the reality that we keep seeming to bump up against, which is that everybody has equal ability, and they don't. Everybody doesn't have the same impediments. So, for instance, I grew up with a single parent, not because
Me too.
I grew up with a
Same.
single parent, not because my father was some deadbeat that didn't have. My father has a MD from Harvard. My father has an MBA from Tufts.
My
He
dad,
just
my
did-
dad was a firefighter, so working class,
he just didn't-
conservative.
he just didn't want to be a parent. So when we talk about this whole idea of like, oh, the Blacks that are, not doing the thing, it's not
Right.
about necessarily.
That's why she kind of like was a little defensive about the deadbeat, the Blacks not being raised, becoming single because of what's going on. Yeah, that's why she was little on the systematic one. I think it was a systematic one of them, or black crime one. She was a little pushed back on that a little bit too. So okay.
Whether what class you're in, it's literally just about we live in a nation that gives the option of I don't want to be a parent. We live in a nation that gives the option of I don't need to be in cooperation with our community. And as far as I'm concerned, Black conservatives do not address the needs of the working class, which are fair access to resources, which are equal access to getting jobs, which are equal pay to the same access as others. And we don't.
Equal to who?
Equal to other states even. Like there's no reality where you can say that the same amount of white people are working low wage jobs per capita as Black people. A lot of the reason is because there's such a disparate incarceration of Black people that it impedes their ability to get higher level education as well as higher level employment
Red
because we
flag.
know about disenfranchisement.
All right, there you go.
All right, before we get to the next one, I gotta take care of something. Give me a quick second. I'm bad. Let's keep going.
Hi.
Oh, we got
Hi,
another
Layla.
lady.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
I'm
to meet
Layla.
you.
I would actually argue that the Black working class is failing themselves. Wouldn't you agree that, in order to get a job, in order to qualify for a certain position and an education system at a job, wouldn't you argue that it should be based off of qualifications and not your race or identity?
I've never argued that. I've never argued that to not
I
be
know
the case.
that you were saying that you would argue that it should be equal, right? So you're saying that there should be Black Americans in education systems, in jobs, but wouldn't you argue that they should be qualified for those positions and not just placed there because of their skin color?
I've never disapproved that.
Okay, so let's
That's
say
not what DEI is. Do
Okay.
you know that?
Well, I'm not talking about DEI right now. Well, let's,
because you're suggesting that I suggested that somebody should get a job just because they're Black, and I've
Well,
never asserted anything like that.
I understand that you may not say that exactly, but a lot
I
of the
didn't say that
claims
at
are,
all.
they're pointing to that.
No, it's not pointing
And so-
to that.
okay.
And so that is that I need to clear this up because
Okay.
it's a really important point.
Okay.
We live in a nation that has actively pedestaled white people. Can we all agree on that? That we
In
no,
the past,
we can't.
in the
Okay,
past,
in the
but
past,
not
in
currently,
the past.
but not currently.
So okay, fair.
Okay.
Okay, so how many Black people are part of this administration's cabinet?
I'm not sure. Can you tell me?
Zero.
Can you fill me in?
Zero.
Oh,
Who?
so it seems like there may be a
That's
couple.
not a cabinet.
I don't know.
Scott Turner.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So we got,
there are.
So we got two.
So there are.
So we got two.
Can we
got
also,
two. We got two. So back to your point.
Okay, she got schooled in that one. So, oh, I would say the first one was definitely a 50-50, but yeah, she got schooled in that one. I don't know. Man might be loose to the youngin on this one. I don't know.
DEI is about expanding,
Oh, yes. Okay.
not lowering credibility.
Okay.
So if we have a system that has very actively said these particular people are the best people
Okay.
simply because of their race, DEI said, or their gender,
Okay.
because DEI mostly leveled up white women.
Okay. So it would be incorrect if it's, you know, if we're pointing toward this, you know, a majority of race is qualified because of the skin, the base of their skin
Absolutely,
color. Okay.
yeah. Whether they're
Okay.
white, black. I
Okay,
mean, race
great.
is fake anyway.
Now, I do want to touch on a point that you did mention earlier, that you would argue that, you know, black people have less opportunities in America. I do not agree with that. I have not had, you know,
First of all, you're a
problem.
light-skinned woman.
And so are you.
Yes.
And you're doing
so
great for
colorism,
yourself.
Yes, and so colorism really does
but,
serve
but
us.
I do want to say, why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that? Do you think it's just based off the color of our skin, or do you think it's based off of the
Yeah,
reputation that black people make for themselves?
What reputation are black people making for
What
themselves?
would you argue? Because I mean, when I look at
Who makes the reputation for black
Let's
people?
look at music, for example.
We already had this conversation with somebody else.
Well, we're gonna have it again. Most of the people that.
Oh, are we?
Most of the people.
I'm going to shut it
most
down
of
right
the
now and
black
let you know that the reality is that when you come to black music, for you to say most of the people, you've already lost the argument.
Am I right?
There is no most of the people with black
Most
people
of-
because you haven't heard of all of black
most
music.
of no.
Oh Lord, she might have got out of that though, because you know, if you think about it, a lot of folks or that when it comes to black music, a lot of people think it's mainly hip hop, mostly in R&B as well too, and some soul. But there's other black music as well too, because you know, a lot of folks are that's like not deemed like you know, rock, and I guess no, blues is a black rock. Mainly is the rock one and some other ones that stems from black music as well too. So yeah, man, it got her a little bit with that as well too. But you understand but you same time you understand why she said mostly. But Amanda got that or that one though.
Most,
So
of,
let's
but
start
most
there.
of the music that is, let's say, maybe exalted or shown by
And
the
who
media,
controls-
right?
and who controls those systems?
It defiles
And
black
who
Americans.
controls those
but who's putting it
systems?
out there?
Who
We
contro-
are black.
No,
We're the ones
actually,
putting
the
it out there.
distribution systems that are putting them out there
And
are owned by white
who
people.
listens? Who listens to them? Because I
don't
can
know.
bet you most of my friends, my black friends that are not conservative, they listen to that music that defiles
You know who
their
else?
bodies.
You know
that
who
talks
else
about
listens to that
black on
music?
black crime and that
Everybody
it's a good
else.
thing.
But if
Am
we
I
don't
right?
acknowledge that they are not in the same way pursuing white voices talking about the same thing, even though they are, we simply like
Okay.
to start at the branches of a tree and not at the root. We have to understand that the media is king. Okay, media is king.
And media does not favor conservatism. I can tell you that right now. I mean, look at the protests right now in Los Angeles.
Depending on who is in office, media does favor them.
I mean,
Media
we
has
have Trump in office right
media
now,
has
and
never
media is not
favored-
favoring Trump at
media
all.
is absolutely not favoring Trump
Okay,
in
thank
certain
you, thank you.
spaces because Trump is also not favoring that particular type of media. But it depends
okay.
on the day. And we have to acknowledge that regardless of whether you talk conservatism or not, media has never favored black people at any point.
All right, guys, that's time.
That was definitely, I would say, 50-50 in one. For a minute, I would say that she had me a little bit, but then it came back a little bit as well too, especially with the thing about media. That's definitely an interesting one right there. That's definitely an interesting comeback she had about the media on that one. So I give her that for sure. But other than that, but in the same time, you know, I'm a little about, you know, the interruption between them two as well too, mainly from Amanda. But let's keep going.
You've been
Okay,
voted out.
thank you.
Please
At
return to
any
your seat.
point.
Thank you.
Who's next? Oh, Young Boy's back.
I'm back. So
No.
let's talk about facts. I just want to move
Nice
back
back.
to systemic racism because you mentioned systemic racism earlier. I just want to look at 3 applications of systemic racism against white people and against East Asians as well. So, for example, we have the National College Attainment Network, which defines affirmative action or even race-conscious admissions as taking race as one of the factors in whether or not you're going to admit a student. And we noticed that when race-conscious admissions was out of it, black enrollment dropped 64%. at UC Berkeley, and that is an act of systemic racism. Trying to look at people's races and allow them into colleges whether or not they're of a set race is racism, and it's race conscious. And Martin Luther King's most famous quote is that he doesn't want his children to be judged based on race, but by the content of their character, and the content of people's characters also includes merit. We have another example of systemic racism. Burgess Owens, he's a representative out of Utah. He's a black Republican representative. He called out the MIT president for having black-only dormitories. I mean, what does that mean? Why are we trying to segregate each other and say that black people feel safer amongst black people when the truth is they are actually more in danger when they're around black people? And that's unfortunate. It's sad that I'm saying this, but it's the case, and I have to say it because it's true, okay? Black people
I'm trying not to laugh, but the way she's looking at homie right now, she say, I'm about to kill this dude. Not to kill him, you know, like, I'm about to end this man's career. It's like, you know, like super hot fire. It looked like I'm about to end this man's career or something like that. It almost looked like it, though, but at the same time, he's getting his stuff out, though. He's getting his thing out, so yeah. Hey,
are killing each other at a vast, crazy rate. Black men rapping about it. It's savagery. It's barbaric. And we shouldn't be doing it as a people. We should try to get more Ben Carsons. Ben Carson's cousins were murdered when he was younger, but his mother came to him and gave him a book and told Ben Carson to read and study to not be like his cousins. And Ben Carson separated two twins at the back of the head, and he's known as one of the best pronounced neurologists or neuroscientists that we've ever seen, right?
Ben Carson said that slaves
people.
were immigrants.
Well, they were brought here to the United States, and many of them were slaves, and we know that to be a fact.
What is the difference between someone being an immigrant and being a stolen person?
I mean, I understand that many people were stolen here, but 90% of historians agree that slavery would have not been possible if black slave owners within Africa didn't sell off their people. White people didn't show up and just start stealing people. They didn't do that. That's not how that worked.
They literally did that.
But they didn't. They worked with black owners and black
They
Arabs.
Sam Fetch, right? Slave merchant in Africa, sold indentured servants who were brought to North and South America. The slaves sold at the port. The slaves sold at the port were captured during war raids or sold by African leaders.
Literally did that,
funny
and
you guys talk
Arabs
about
did that
European-
as well. And I think it's
They
very
did it in the 7th
important.
century
And I
too.
think it's important to note that there is an oversimplification of history as well as of black people in Africa. There's a failure to acknowledge that in Africa, black people did not consider themselves black people. That was a racial distinction that was solely created by white oppressors to legitimize slavery.
Arab oppressors, actually, because the Arabs did it in the 7th
To
century. They
legitimize,
were the first ones.
They did not name it under blackness. They simply just decided we're going to go and have enslavers. This was a decision that was actualized and then tried to be pushed forward through eugenics. Literally, there was an executive order that was passed a few months ago that said that Donald Trump wants to now control the museums because he wants to take back control of the narrative around race. And in one of these museums that they cited was that there was a display that speaks about race not as a biological thing, but as something that has just been created as a social construct. And he stated that that is an incorrect expression of race, that race is biological.
But it is biological. Like, let's look at our phenotypical traits, the nose differences,
wow.
the hair texture. It's a biological thing.
Oh,
sure, there's a social.
I'm sorry, the way old baby said, "Oh Lord, poor baby got a lot to learn." That's that mama got a lot to learn thing.
Not,
concept, but there's biological differences that exist. It's
You're
fine.
very convicted in your
look
lack
different.
of information
People can look
around
different.
these things. Race and ethnicity are two different things, okay?
I'm talking about
Ethnicity
race.
is where you're from. Race is literally something that was created to put people into categories of caste, to put people into categories of oppression. Race is not something that you are. Race is something that was bestowed and put
That's
upon you.
racism, not race. Race is simply the
race
aggregation.
is literally something that was created and put upon you. And I want you to listen to me as somebody who has studied this, who has a master's in African American Studies from the Institute for Research in African American Studies at Columbia University. I want you to understand very clearly that race is not something that is biological. There is literally
Look at us.
no.
Look at the
there is
differences.
There is many differences that are equated to ours that
And
has
they're
nothing
not
to do with
biological?
race.
Melanin
That has nothing to
content
do
is
with
not
race.
biological at
so
all?
if you have a black parent and you have a white parent, and now you come out looking white, how is that a biological
But most-
proof of your
most of them-
race?
most of them
There's
come
no
out
most of them.
having
Stop,
curly hair.
Stop. There's no most of them. You do not
Mixed
have
race?
anything to
You're
prove
mixed
that.
race, too.
I am not mixed race. My mother is black and my father is black.
Well, my father is also considered black, but he's very much has a lot of European DNA. And
You know what I think? I think that you are at a phase of your learning where you are a contrarian. And I look forward to seeing your development because I have a feeling that you're actually going to flip the script eventually because you are somebody that definitely is grounded in wanting to learn facts and wanting to learn the truths of things. However, you're currently still stuck in an indoctrinated space that is tricking you into thinking that you are something that you are not. You are a black person who is literally having to receive the results of racism, but ultimately,
Damn, she schooled young boy again. Young boy tried, he got schooled again. Dag.
you are of an ethnicity that has thrived in spite of it. And that is where we really exist from. And that is where our resilience comes from in spite of systemic racism.
I think our resilience is happening now. I think growing, understanding the real problems, not going out and trying to protest against. You guys don't ever do this. KTS.
You
Dre,
guys don't ever do that.
KTS
Who is
Dre.
you guys?
Members of the black community that want to hold people accountable, especially black people. So KTS Dre was shot 60 times outside of Cook County, Chicago. How many BLM members came out? You earlier said BLM
Stop
is about
referring
police.
to me as you guys.
Okay, that's fine. So
Yeah, he's losing. I'm sorry, he's losing this one. Damn, young boy got did up twice by Amanda.
for example,
But
we
he
had
has potential, as I want to say, but he got did up by Amanda again. And she sees the potential in him too.
a really good example of this where it's not a police because I remember you
Where are
said.
you from?
Where am I from? What do you mean by that? Like what state am I from? Where was I born?
Where do you live right now?
I live in Florida. I was born in Angola, though. I was born in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay.
Where did you grow up for most of your time?
In Maine. I lived in North America.
In Maine.
Yes.
And what is the population of black people in the town that you're from?
It's really extremely low, but I grew up around black people, and there's a black community where I lived.
And that black community that you lived in, did they teach you about black history in the United States?
I
Like,
learned black history.
are your parents black American?
Yeah, my mom is black. My father is black.
No, I'm asking, were they born in the United
No,
States?
because I wasn't born there.
Oh, so you guys are all from Angola?
Yes, but again, like I told you earlier, right? In terms of people like KTS Dre that were shot, BLM doesn't come out for them. And I remember you earlier
Well, I
said,
think it's really
hold on, can I
important
please finish? Can I please finish? You earlier said that BLM is worried about police, but when Daniel Penny choked out the man that we all know was causing violence on that subway train.
Daniel Penny put Jordan Neely in a chokehold after Neely allegedly threatened and harassed and yelled at a passenger on a New York City subway. Neely died. Penny was found not guilty.
He
or
was
subway
not causing
station.
violence.
He was. He was threatening
Causing
people. He was
disruption is
threatening-
not causing violence.
He was threatening people.
Causing disruption is not
and the
causing
people
violence.
there, and the people there helped him also, and we know that he helped them.
I don't know what that has to do with BLM. Random people on a train is not Black Lives
showed
Matter.
up. BLM showed up for that. They did.
Showed up for what?
BLM
After
showed.
Penny was found out guilty, a Black Lives Matter leader called for a black vigilante to retaliate as the trial was ending. An unknown group placed signs on the subway that said a man was lynch here. Ooh.
Up threatening white people, saying that they were going to
No,
go
they
get white
didn't.
people. Now they
BLM
did.
protested.
BLM New York.
BLM
Research
protested.
that.
Where did you get that from?
I-
You see,
BLM New York.
your sources are not. You're not able to
But I have
cite
all
your
the
sources.
In New
Please
York.
go sit down.
Yeah. That's
Damn!
You
It's
can
not
try
the
to
truth.
avoid it.
It's
You can
not
try
the
to
truth.
avoid
Damn, she said, please go sit down. Damn. Damn. She said, all right, that's enough. Sit down, young boy. You got a lot to learn. Damn. Yeah, young boy got schooled twice by a man on this one. Damn.
Nothing you say is actually the truth. Nothing. You're not even American. You're not even a black American. As the daughter of an immigrant, it is imperative that black people from other places understand the disparate difference that they exist from black people in the United States. It is not the same. Period. And ultimately, the best effort that we can do as a diaspora is to lead in understanding, not in judgment. So when I am talking to somebody from Sudan, from the Congo, from Angola, I am listening to understand their experience, not to undermine it. And I refuse to allow anybody from Grenada, from Angola, from any other place to come and try to undermine the experience of black Americans.
Woo! A man will choose a conservative to debate for 10 minutes on a claim of their choosing. That's where he comes in, okay.
Who feels passionately about something that they want to talk to me about? I choose John Samuel because I like his facial hair and dashiki pairing. I feel like he's gonna sing a mean R&B.
And he was, and out of all the, well, it was good. Also, out of all the people on there, including these two guys and this guy, the last guy on this one, and the last girl on this one, he was they were the most respectful one. I guess he was like out of it the most respectful, but most understanding, and was on her side in a way. So yeah. A little bit. He was leaning on her side a little bit. He was like more like threw out the question and question. It was like a question back and forth a little bit. So I guess this gives us time to actually fully debate. So yeah.
Which one? My claim is that black people as a community need to walk away from the Democratic Party and progressivism.
Ooh. That's interesting because, a lot of people saying how, the Democrats not really for blacks and all that as well, too. In a way. I'm not saying go Republic, but a lot of people saying that they need to start not relying on the Democratic side as well, too. And they've been saying that Democrats not really fully for black folks. So, this is going to be an interesting one right here. So, yes.
Completely. I'm saying this from a very unique perspective. I'm not trying to shout myself or anything. This is really just my experience. Currently, I'm running for Congress, right?
Ooh,
and one of the biggest hurdles I have in doing that is the black community. It's because they expect us to be in this box.
What's the box?
The box would be, okay, you're black, so you got to be a Democrat. You got to think this way. You have to have this view on this matter.
No, you got to tell me, think what way? I really want to understand.
So let's take immigration. That's a hot button issue right now, especially in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
My view is that you should come here the legal way, and that if you don't come here the legal way, you are subject to the laws of the country. But I also feel that if you're...
anyone would disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that a lot of people, especially where I'm from San Diego, will like to put black conservatives in this box. And the reason why I say specifically in my claim that black people need to walk away from the Democratic Party is because every single election cycle, all they do is use us as their tokens. They use us as their kind of election tools. They use us as these campaign posters. They tell us to come to their rallies. They tell us to sing on their stages. They tell us to do all these things, and they forget about us 3 other years, and they remember us 4 years later. Every single cycle, it happens again and again. And I'm one.
That's pretty deep.
The people, I really appreciate you because it seems like you have a love for the black community and you have a love for people, and I appreciate that. And I do too, because I don't express that in the same way as, let's say, as a black person who's a member of the Democratic Party. I get called Uncle Tom. I get called a racist. I hate myself. I love myself, and I love our people. I love everything about us. We have done so much for this country. We built this table that everyone is seated at. We deserve rights. We deserve all these things. However, what I don't like more than anything, is being used. It's being used by politicians, being used by governments as some type of puppet to say.
He dropped some signs, ain't gonna lie. He dropped some signs.
Here's my black person that's voting for me. I don't like that. And it makes me sad, no matter you're Democrat, Independent,
Can
Green
I
Party,
respond?
whatever. Yes. Yeah, sorry.
I completely agree. I completely agree. I would add to that it's no different with the Conservative Party, that there is 1,000% a use of black people to weaponize a concerted effort to literally, quote unquote, make America great again. The concept of make America great again did not start with Donald Trump. It started with Ronald Reagan, and it happened right after the Civil Rights Movement. There was a very strong, visceral response by white people after the Civil Rights Movement, after the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Fair Housing Act of 1969, the Economic Opportunity Act of 1965. These were all efforts that were put in place on a federal level to say, okay, fine, here and damn, we're gonna give you a little bit of something to get your weight up. After that, there was a active effort made by conservatives, because that's also when we saw the flip between the Democratic and Republican parties.
Flip.
There was a flip. That's actively what happened. There was a flip. And
Since Reconstruction, Democratic Party has been the party of slavery, the party of racism.
There was a flip because the Democrats were more aligned with making these civil rights concessions than the Republicans. That's the flip. Ultimately, though, the flip is what people are misappropriating, because the flip isn't a 180, okay? The flip is literally just, we was this and now we this. And that is not the same as we are for black people. The Democratic Party is not for black people, nor is the Republican Party. Any nation that has a bipartisan system that doesn't even allow for its own people to determine who are going to be the candidates for president isn't for its people. in general, beyond blackness. So it's imperative that we begin to truly understand the systems at work in this government that not only hinder us as black people, but they hinder anyone who wants to see change because they are ultimately working together. Now, do we see one party activating higher levels of discrimination than others? Yes. Do we see one party that is more violent per se than others? Yes. And we can say this on many different levels. But when it comes to like enacting genocide or destabilizing other nations, we know that that happens on an American level, regardless, okay? I completely agree that the idea that you have to act a certain way as a black person is really problematic because the Democrats and the Republicans, neither of them actually care about black people. And when we talk about conservatism or we talk about being a liberal, neither of these aspects were grounded in how do we help to repair the harm that we have caused an entire group of people who made it possible for us to even have a constitution. So you can sit here and show me whatever you want.
No. The only reason why I was going to show you this is because
even with that constitution, we weren't even humans.
What?
When they
what
wrote
is
it.
So that was another fact check I wanted to kind of fact check before, but I couldn't say anything. But the 3/5 compromise had nothing to do with your 3/5 of a person. The 3/5 compromise had to do with representation in Congress. So there's a little note here if you open this.
The 3/5 compromise said that the Southern slaveholders needed to be represented fairly in Congress. And because there was so many more slaves than actual white people in the South, they were allowed to count their slaves as representation, even though those slaves did not have the ability to vote.
If we were at that time, let's say the 3/5 compromise never happened, we were a whole person as in light of the government, right? If that happened, then this America would not be the America that you know today. Because what it was is, if it was, we were counted as
You're
whole.
defending the 3/5 compromise,
Can you
bro.
just listen? Can you listen? No, listen for a second.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to get mischaracterized what I'm saying, okay?
Okay.
Slavery was wrong. It was absolutely disgusting and immoral thing.
Okay.
I have nothing good to say about that. But the 3/5 compromise, if you counted a person who was a slave as a whole person at that time,
yes,
most of the slaves were held in the south of the Mason-Dixon line, right?
I just said that, yeah.
So what would happen is they would have more representation in Congress, and thus those laws that were, by the abolitionists, those would have been gone. Okay, so that would have gave the South more power to do the things that they couldn't do. So that's why they said the 3/5 compromise, because then if it's 3/5 compromise, they don't get that power. But of course they're people, so they have to say something, and that's where this came into play.
I would say he definitely got his future in Congress and debate as well too, because he's very, very passionate about it. I just think blowing my thoughts on some of the stuff I pulled. Let's get blown away. It's got moved anyway. I had Haynes dried out some tie dye for our event we're doing the next day tomorrow. Anyway, he's very passionate. He definitely has a my thumb is blue. He definitely has a future with politics as well too. He's very passionate about what he's trying to push. So definitely I'll give him that for sure.
Because if it wasn't for that, this country would have looked a lot differently.
So you're suggesting that it was okay for slaves' bodies to not only be used for labor, but also used to empower those who are harming them to be fairly represented in government?
I think it's absolutely, they should have been used, period.
Okay,
I think it was
so then we agree on that.
Yeah,
so we agree on that.
It was absolutely abhorrent. There's no excuse for it. There's no justification for it.
So then where's the argument? Because ultimately, when there was an opportunity in Reconstruction for there to be equality and humans considered in a real way and protected,
Democrats torched it. Andrew Johnson.
Yes, as well as the Supreme Court. That's actually more important. What we have to acknowledge. The Supreme Court torched it. The Supreme Court has actively, throughout this entire existence of this nation, been at the forefront of impeding any advancement, and it ends up sending us back over and over and over again because it doesn't have term limits. Because it doesn't have term limits. It's not elected. It's appointed, and ultimately they have made it abundantly clear that they pick and choose when it's the states that are going to have rights and when when they're going to be in a federal position of precedence?
Well, that has to do with the supremacy clause. So the supremacy clause is when a federal law is in conflict with the state's law. The federal
Yes,
law will
it's
override. For
always gonna
example,
be-
in
yes.
California, weed is legal, right?
Yes, but federally,
federally, it's
it's
not.
not.
So they
Yes.
can come down here and
Yeah.
they could say, "Hey, we're going to raid all these places," and they would be completely in line with the
And
law.
so this is how segregation and discrimination ended up existing even after the civil rights laws of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were passed, because Congress said we need to protect black people, and the Supreme Court said we actually are not going to give you the right to do so. For what it's worth, I think we can do this back and forth all day, but at the end of the day, I will completely agree with you. Black people need to let the Democrats go. I think black people need to let both of these parties go and figure out a way to move forward together in our own nation.
You know what? I can actually get on with that because, I don't believe that all Republicans are, good and not using us as well.
Power
I
to the
agree with
people,
that.
brother. Power to
I
the
agree with
people.
that. And
Let's sing a duet.
I'm for no matter what
Let's sing a
color
duet.
of skin you are, or black, whatever it is, think for yourself. If you think for yourself and you do your own research and you want to be a liberal radical, go for it. If you want to think for yourself
Everybody
and be a Green Party,
everybody
go
know
for it.
I agree
if
with
you
this.
Want, if
Everybody
you want to be
know
liberal
this is my
and be
I'm
Republican,
singing
then
along
go
with
for
you.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm down for that.
Hallelujah.
Think for
Come
ourselves.
on.
Let's
All
do
right
it.
now.
Let's do it.
Hallelujah.
Good ending right there. That was a good ending.
I appreciate coming on the show and debating with Amanda. I could see that there was a
He
care
has a
for the
future, I'll
community
say
and there
that.
was a care for wanting to uplift us rather than treat us like a monolith. And that's what I'm all about. Regardless if you're a Democrat, Green Party, or Republican, I just think that people are far more complex than we give them credit.
There is an active effort of folks on any side of the aisle that want to see the elevation of black people to be able to come together and have real conversations that are grounded not in stats, and this is going to sound real woo-woo, but it's what it is, that are grounded in love. And I hope that whatever anyone took away from this conversation is the reality that I really do love black people. I love people, and I love the ability to exist on this earth and have access to joy.
I think sometimes things got a little bit heated, and that's okay because emotions get the best of us. But I think overall she did pretty well for her position. I don't agree with her for the most part, but I think she did pretty well.
Just kind of seeing this dynamic that this is really what happens. A lot of times when we look at discourse, we look at it online, so everybody's typing and typing, but this is what real discourse looks like. When you have to really sit in front of someone and unpack your arguments, you can see the pressure that causes and how you have to really kind of have your thoughts together and how heated and emotional it can get. So I think the fact that you guys, created this space for us to be able to do that is awesome. Whether it was productive or not, we'll only see. Hopefully some of the things that, we said stick with Amanda. She was using some of my quotes, about resilience and everything. And I was like, okay, so I'm planting a little bit of seeds there. And then of course there were times where when she was right. And I was like, you know what? She has a point. So
Okay, so yeah. Good ending with the John Samuel thing. That was a good ending though. But yeah, this was an experience. This definitely was an experience. I will say that though. Hopefully a lot more is taken away from this as well too. The meme I wanted to show is this meme that somebody put on there about how it was when you watched the debate with her. If you see real quick, and somebody got man ahead on Bruce Lee. Don't get a bunch of this. I forgot what movie this from. When Bruce Lee fought a whole dojo, and the whole dojo was full of raccoons. You know how I say coons and all that well too. So yeah, but at the same time, yeah, it was this was definitely a debate, an emotional debate. Somebody said my level of patience has fine, meaning why I wouldn't start swinging on all 20 of them people. I wouldn't start because the level of his black. Yeah, a lot of people had this and that about that debate. Some people was definitely on Amanda's side, saying who was saying something, not a fan of the other folks as well too. But me personally, I feel like this was definitely a 50-50 situation well too. There was time that she has a point, but there's time that other folks had a little point as well too though. I ain't think about it being like, these guys don't know what they talk about, their coons and all that. No. They know what they talking about a little bit. It's just man, and just know a little more, Other than that, what y'all thoughts came through this whole debate as well too. Other than that, if you like my reaction to this, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T signing off.